Mr. Chairman, other members of the board, in your packet, you should see a resolution that says on the right-hand side, you're looking at it. And so the motion would be the same, but I'm going to read what will be on attachment 1. It'll say, all lots with frontage along Highland Croy Road shall be screened along that frontage by a 3-foot mound and evergreen shrubs, which shall have an opacity of 100% and be no less than 3 feet in height. We don't need to say within 3 years because that's going to be in the zoning resolution itself. There's a grow-in period in the zoning resolution itself. I probably run that by the applicant to make sure they think that's achievable.
Yes, that's acceptable.
Moving the amendment with additional modifications as the board has reflected in the attachment as presented by Mr. Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please. Mr. Pratt?
Yes.
Mr. Adler? Yes. Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell is going to hand down 3 copies to the resolution to sign. Mr. Caldwell, each one is a packet of the 3 types. Did you catch on to that? Sorry, I didn't. I think I might have sorted them wrong. Yeah, 1 second. Let me help you.
I think I sent the right one.
Yes, the modification.
Yeah.
They're each packets, one of approval with yeah, sorry. Take out the last 2 sheets of that package. Have them sign that. This is what they want to sign.
No, it says attachment 1.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. Have them sign.
I think. We'll see.
We got it.
Just checking.
Have them sign those 2.
I'll start.
I'm asking.
Yeah.
Trying to get my brother.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll make sure you have it. I'll make sure you get it.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, while the board is signing that, may I just have a moment to just organize a bunch of papers?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to take a short break before we start the second public hearing.
We need to adjourn our hearing.
I can wait to sign this before we continue.
So the hearing's still open. Okay.
What's that? The easel can go away. No, it's cool. They have boards, but yeah, the easel can go cheap.
You have this in? This is kind of neat. Can you help me? I'm on the guess. I can't. Bald eagle. So I may have to try and bald eagle. But it's not going to show it. No, Mr.
He has a moment where I'll say this. He starts he finds
It's just to get it all. So that, which is right. Yeah.
I move that we adjourn the public hearing for PD 25-002. Do I have a second?
Joe.
Second.
Roll call, please. Roll call. Meeting, public hearing is adjourned. We're going to take a couple minutes break while Mr. Smith gets organized for the next public hearing.
Sign this one. Go, come on.
My phone may be able to. Well, you could get on your thing. Yeah.
Joe, you're busted. You only signed one copy. There's three.
Somebody had it. Oh. I handed her my blue pen.
No, you're good. Right there.
I should excuse myself so fast and so you know, I had my head about me.
We're making progress.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert, here's the 300. Here's the one single copy of the other page, which will keep all together. And here is. Thank you, sir.
Quite frankly, she did, but I only talked for like 10 minutes.
Okay. Just that great. When are you on?
Totally up to you.
Yes, we're actually doing the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd open to continue hearing up. And just do a call.
Eric, back in.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Go up there and count. He knows that flag. Oh, the Wi-Fi, yeah.
Is it on Raymond?
Yes, Chief. No, we can put it back on. Yes, sir. Yes, Brandon's gonna put the light back on. We don't need it.
Nice. Kind of takes the temperature.
Okay, we're about to open the public hearing, continue public hearing. If anybody anybody has not yet signed up to speak, there's a clipboard back there, I believe. Please sign up and then we'll get started here momentarily.
Make
Like
sure
to open
Brandon,
the public-
does Brandon have to hit the button?
No, we're good.
Okay.
The time is 7:49. I'd like to open the continued public hearing for the zoning text amendment ZT 25-002. Roll call, please.
Mr. Kraft,
Present.
Mr. Adler,
Present.
Ms. Watson,
Present.
I'd like to change the order of what was on the agenda here, and we're going to do, if it's okay with you, two of you, I'd like to put public comments and then the presentation. I so move to change the order of the agenda here to have public comments next. Do I have a second? Roll call.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. Adler,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open this portion of the continued public hearing to public comments. Again, in the interest of time, we've asked that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. We ask that if you want to be heard, that you be at the podium and only when called upon. If someone else has already made the same basic comment you intended to speak about, please just indicate that you agree with what was previously stated and try not to repeat the same information. For those of you that have already spoken previously, I ask that you try to focus your comments on new items that were not covered in the previous public hearing. Okay, with that, the first person on the list here is Linda Chapman. Please state your name and address. Go ahead.
Good evening, Linda Chapman, 8343 McKittrick Road. I'd like to address on page 41 of this zoning amendment proposal, the increased density proposal in sub-areas 2D and E from 2 houses per acre to 6 per acre, a 300% increase. First, sliding this line item into a 66-page document intended for housekeeping items as well as some data center concerns gives the appearance of impropriety. The fact that the reason to include this density change is not disclosed, except for an attorney at the zoning commission meeting making a comment of the developer offering land, presents bad optics. The Innovation District was established and then received without referendum or challenge from the public. Included in that district are these particular sub-areas, 2D and E. The comprehensive plan designates as ag, low-density conservation residential. It says a minimum of 2 acres per dwelling unit is encouraged for residential lots serviced by well and septic to comply with county standards. Where centralized water and sewer are extended into ag, low-density conservation residential areas, conservation development under the plan development tool should be utilized. A maximum residential density of 2 dwelling units per gross acreage is encouraged, with at least 40% of the gross acreage of the development dedicated to open space. To whose benefit is this increased density? This is a corridor into the township. Comprehensive plan says we want to protect rural corridors. Increasing this density contradicts the rural residential or low-density designation aimed at preserving the township's character. This targeted density proposal impacts roughly 85 acres near Kyle Warner Road, 36 of which are already filled by 9 residents. This questionable increase to 6 units per acre is a drastic spot zoning approach that does not fit with the surrounding low-density half-acre minimum lot size. The Jonathan Alder School District is struggling with funding levies and overcrowding. Higher density increases school enrollment, worsening current overcrowding. And I don't think I need to remind you their bond issue in November passed by just 3 votes. The infrastructure of Kyle Road's already challenged and cannot handle much more traffic without significant safety upgrades. The public hasn't even seen a proposal of the detailed development, traffic study, etc. Do our emergency services have the capacity to handle this high-density residential demand on this road? We were fortunate to get the last fire renewal levy passed by 53%. Higher density increases the demand for fire and emergency medical services, potentially increasing response times. I could continue with all the reasons why this isn't a good idea, but you all know this. So it makes me question why we're even having to talk about a density increase tucked into a broader data center focused zoning amendment. There should have been a separate public hearing focused solely on this density change, if at all. Our zoning commission recommended removing it, leaving it 2. I encourage you to strike it from this amendment. There are better, clearer, and cleaner processes to address this. However, a density increase shouldn't be increased at all. Let's not set a precedent and allow spot zoning to become a favor. The quality of life of your residents in our community are more important than trading zoning for a land gift. Thank you for your time.
Next up is, please keep your thoughts to the amendment here. Listen to the comments. Alan McDonald, please.
My name's Alan McDonald. I live on 9340 Mitchell DeWitt. We face south, our house faces south, and we have a great view of the current data center. I just want to make this short. We're against the next data center, if there's going to be one down there. We don't feel we need it. We like the one we got just fine. Don't need any more. That's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mike Nolan. Again, sorry, please state your name and address.
Mike Nolan, 12300 Beecher Gamble Road, Marysville. Thank you again for your time. So I sent a document, and I hope everybody have one over here. Everybody has this.
Mr. Nolan, I believe your wife had a stack of copies.
Are there any extras?
Yes, so those would be for you to distribute to the commission.
Okay.
Or to the board.
Oh,
They have
okay.
it.
Well, we did. Does anybody have any up here? Oh, I'd heard that.
Is it what was in the email that you
Yes,
sent
it was in the
yesterday?
email. Yes.
Yep, I've got that.
So does anybody need one? If they have extras, can you get? Okay, I'll let you.
I'll take one.
Give extras to anybody who wants one. I don't want to use all my time for that.
That way you have enough time. Thank you. You can see it much nicer.
So there's an 8-page document that has been distributed. Maybe some people have electronic copies. But I hope everybody sees this. I want to jump real quick to page 2, just because of time. So on page 2, number 1 there, it says the following maps show approximate radial distances from both existing and future data center locations in Jerome Township. So what I did, just to make it easy to see, I basically went out, kind of drew a line out from each corner of each data center location, a quarter mile and then a half mile, and then made a circle. Tried to fit it as best you could, just to get a visual of how far the distances are out from the data center. Because noise travels outward, like a sphere. It just, drop in the water, just all goes around equally in different directions. So that's all that means, half mile, 1/4 mile, and you can see the feet. Number 2, it says, it is a fact that multiple residents on Mitchell DeWitt Road and beyond have filed both written and verbal complaints, and this has been over the last couple of years, I believe, regarding objectionable noise levels. So those maps that you're looking at show the rural residential locations are actually beyond the half-mile distance where these complaints, you'll see that on the first page, where the arrow is, ongoing noise complaints. So that's actually outside the half-mile distance of those 2 existing data centers. And I have been made aware that people over on Kyle Road, I believe, are also have complained about it, but my understanding is that the complaints have stopped just because they've given up. Because it's pretty much been, well, it's there, nothing's going to change, we can't do anything about it. So it doesn't mean people aren't still having an issue with it. And then the last point there on that page, there's a screenshot there to the right that a good friend sent me the other night. talking about how far does a data center noise typically travel, and you can read that for yourself. But it points out in this document that the information reports that over already? The data center noise can be audible and disruptive for up to 2.5 miles from a noise source. I have personally experienced a low-frequency industrial noise source that has permeated the walls and windows of my wife and our home from 2.5 miles. So what it says on this document, off of the AI overview, interesting enough, the 2.5 miles is true. And I want to give you a very brief demonstration.
Can you finalize?
Yes, I'm about done. I've worked on this all week. I'm about done. Okay, this noise. All right, that's the noise that we had coming through the walls of our bedroom, through my work office area. You can hear that? It was constant. And this is it's 132 beats per minute, 16 notes. Okay? I spent 2 years of my life fighting with the city of Marysville and a company called Vance Technologies that is now Continental, trying to get this sound turned up. All right? And the reason I shared that with you, is because I got a letter here from Vance Technologies after 1.5 years. They finally hired a company, went out, did a noise study, okay, around the perimeter of their building, and they sent this nice note to Marysville, copied me on it, and showed that their noise level that I just played you, that was traveling 2.5 miles through our home, was completely within their noise standards for the city of Marysville. Okay? I want to leave you with that.
Thank you.
So that's why I've been in the battle here. It's a true problem. I don't want the rest of you to have to deal with it.
Mitzi, Nolan?
Mitzi Nolan, 12300 Beecher Gamble Road. 4 points just to ponder. Major industrial sites are often required to submit noise studies, which are computerized models of noise propagation. These models measure the anticipated noise level around the perimeter of industrial property. In some cases, at the distance of only 5 feet above ground level, roughly the height of a person's ears. So what's the problem? What are the primary 24/7 noisemakers in a data center? Answer, rooftop chillers for cooling the computers, often 200 to 300 of them on a typical data center campus, like the ones around us here. If the height of the roof is 45 feet, then how high are the rooftop chillers? At least 45 feet or higher. The fan shrouds are directed straight upward into the atmosphere. So where does most of the noise go? Up into the atmosphere, above the building. How much of it will be heard at the ground level close to the perimeter of the building where they're metering them? Probably very little. Number 3, sound waves, especially low-frequency noise as produced by data center rooftop chillers and diesel generators, are then easily carried through the atmosphere to surrounding properties for up to several miles. Wind speed and direction, atmospheric temperature variance, ambient noise levels, etc. determine where and how loud the noise will be at a particular surrounding property or home site. Also, topography and noise barriers, like other buildings, can have significant effect on the noise levels reaching an individual home. For example, think of how much louder a nighttime train can be on one night versus another, while hearing it from the same location. We can sometimes estimate the wind direction based on the loudness and general direction of the train noise. All this helps explain why residential properties in more rural type areas are more sensitive to the negatively impacted by low frequency environmental noise. The only way to prevent this long distance noise travel is to stop it at the source. However, data centers have not yet widely adopted effective methods of doing this, which is why significant noise complaints continue across the county. And the last one, very important, closely related issue. What are the financial impacts to area property owners? Would an existing home impacted by constant data center noise be worth more or less than one not subject to this constant noise? What about still vacant land? How will its potential future uses and value be affected by 24/7 surrounding data center noise? If these financial impacts are indeed negative, as many of us would expect that they are, how and by whom will fair compensation be provided? The last comment here, these are critical questions to ponder and answer. This will affect a major portion of Jerome Township, its residents, and other quiet commercial business operations. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Next is Brad Bodenmiller.
Good evening. So we sent you all a recommendation. I'm going to hit the highlight of the recommendation and talk to data centers briefly. If you have specific questions about the report, I'm glad to answer those. So our recommendation.
Introduce yourself before you. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Sorry.
I know I called you out earlier, but maybe you won't.
That's totally fine. So I work at LUC, which is in East Liberty. We're a State Route 347 address. Don't test me on the address. I just give out our P.O. box. I'm the director at Logan Union Champaign Regional Planning Commission. We're a 3-county regional planning commission. Everybody kind of cooperates to have a single regional planning commission, so it kind of saves people money, has a cost savings by splitting the regional planning commission instead of having individual county planning commissions.
Sorry, your last name again. Sorry.
What's that?
Your last name again.
Bodenmiller. B-O-D-E-N-M-I-L-L-E-R.
Thank you.
So, when you guys do, when a township does a zoning amendment, especially for Andrea, sorry, I didn't think about kind of working through the process. So when you guys do a zoning amendment, you have to send it to us. We give you a recommendation. Then it goes to zoning commission. They have a hearing. Then it comes to the trustees for a hearing. As soon as you're a trustee, I think you're supposed to be endowed with that information just automatically. So if you ever have any questions, just feel free to call.
Thank you.
So our recommendation was approval with modifications, with the exception of one thing. So whenever we do a letter, we give you here's the recommendation, we give you the different modifications behind that. We did not recommend adopting the language about requiring people to join the JED before they can get a zoning permit. I realize that you guys did not agree with us on that a couple years ago. I respect that, I understand that, but unsurprisingly, we had the same recommendation, so we did not recommend that component of the text amendment. On the data centers, I think it's important to remember, there's a difference between prohibiting a land use and regulating a land use. And so if you decide you don't want to prohibit a land use, then it's a matter of regulating it. You guys are talking about moving it from a permitted use to a conditional use for that extra oversight, but you also have to keep in mind that there are only certain things you can regulate through zoning. Noise is a very difficult thing to regulate through zoning because you only have so much power to regulate noise in the revised code through your zoning, which is really very little. I guess my last comment on data centers is this is something that's kind of existed for a long time, well, about 80 years, and it's a use that has transformed over time in several different ways. So at a certain point, you're going to have to decide how you want to regulate it, and just know that it's a rapidly evolving land use, and so you're going to have to revisit this frequently. And just know that whatever text you adopt is not going to be perfect. You're going to want to go back and adjust it, so you're going to have to give yourself a little bit of grace about that and just keep up to date and adjust it over time.
Mr. Chairman, Brad, thank you for the assistance that you give to me in my line of work and for coming tonight. With regard to the section that Brad was talking about where LUC recommended not approving a specific section, that was removed at the zoning commission phase, so don't lend any concern to that. Ultimately, with discussions with council and myself, at the zoning commission, we just removed that. So that's not in the version that is before these guys right now. Okay.
We don't, once it moves from the zoning commission, we don't re-review whatever the zoning commission sends to you. We just look at kind of what you have up front.
So Brad, to your last point about the zoning resolution being a living document and additional work, I'm basically just asking, will you continue to help us in your professional capacity, help my office to revisit this particular land use going forward with other tools, model texts? Is there stuff that LUC is still working on for all the townships that might be useful to the township down the line?
Absolutely. And there's other local governments come up with text, we'll share it, and we'll try to get the best out of it and make sure that everybody kind of stays informed. I know it's a difficult land use to predict.
Questions for Ben?
I appreciated the presentation that you gave at the Township Trustees Association meeting where all the Township Trustees from Union County were at. I think that was in February.
Thanks,
Is that right?
Yeah, right after
Yeah,
it was
I
kicked,
appreciate
I was
that, 'cause
sitting in the parking lot getting
Like I
ready
said,
to do it.
I think in some of the comments that Mr. Adler's made, like what we know now is a lot differently than what we knew in the beginning. And then what you kind of just said was, as time goes on, there's going to be new things that are going to be evolving.
I think you're not the only place that has those listed as a permitted use, and then you're making an adjustment to make it a conditional use. That seems to be something that I've observed in other places.
Thank you, Brad.
If there's anybody that did not sign up and still needs to make a comment, now's your last chance here. The podium for 3 minutes. State your name and address.
Carl Seeley, 11437 Industrial Parkway. I don't have a comment, just point of clarification that could lead to a comment, but you mentioned that you're going to give a presentation. Is that after our comments? So we submitted a lot of questions as a community last 2 weeks ago, accumulated over the past year. So I know noise has been brought up tonight, other points have been brought up tonight. There's many more that, I'm not going to sit here and address. But my question is, in your presentation, I assume you're going to be addressing a lot of those questions that the community has. Will there be an opportunity for then additional public hearing information or comments after your presentation?
At this time, once we close the public hearing, comment, and review information and discussion between the trustees and make a decision.
I would just ask them that you delay the decision until the public has a chance to continue our portion of the hearing. We're really waiting for that information and the answers. So we can't really respond until we have those answers.
So this is the public hearing. This is the public hearing. The board is considering making data centers a conditional use versus an approved use. We have a moratorium in place that's running out, and we have allowed the public to make comment. We had many more people make comments at our previous meeting. Several people made comments at this meeting. Typically, you close the meeting to public comment, have our discussion, and then decide how to move forward, not necessarily a debate. I'm sure as trustees, all of us have had conversations on the side with residents about what we're considering here, but typically, my experience as trustee, we would close this to public comment, once the comments were, made.
Mr. Chairman, I might be able to help a little bit. Mr. Seeley, you and I have talked many times. It's always been super positive and enjoyable to see what you've done up there. Many of your questions, I can't say all of them from memory, but many of your questions are actually questions that we're dealing with how zoning regulations are administered generally. I'm never going to have all the answers either. I'm certainly not going to be able to answer why if the board made a particular policy decision, but I know you know how to get a hold of me. I did leave my cards back there. I may be able to answer many of your questions related to zoning administration. Because some of your questions are like, how does the conditional use permit process work? Well, that's not even what's before this board tonight. That's more of a just educational about how that process works. There's dozens of conditional uses, everything from proposed here as a data center as a conditional use to in a residential district, certain types of home occupations. If your home occupation is really large, that can be a conditional use. It's anytime in the regulations that the board wants to be more restrictive with a particular use, make it conditional use. That's one example. So I may be able to answer many of those. I'm going from memory. I can't tell you all of them. Some of them were policy questions, but if they're zoning administration related questions, I can definitely be the one to answer that for you.
And I think some of them probably do fall in that camp and understand that, would love to explore that. I think others speak more to the decision criteria behind this and what has been considered. And really, I think the question from that we heard last week, and then maybe will be answered, is, why are we pursuing this as a conditional use instead of a non-conforming use?
Well, that's something different. I apologize. I'm not trying to go back and forth. A non-conforming is something completely different.
Right.
What we're talking about right
Have
now.
they even considered that as an option? Is the question.
What's that? I think what you mean is prohibited. Okay, prohibited use, right? Again, so this, right now it's permitted. I'll just say this, when I've got something on my arm that needs removed, the doctor doesn't amputate my arm, right? So right now we've got a use that's permitted. The next regulatory step is to take it to a conditional use. So if you go all the way to a prohibited use, there's going to be some other challenges with that particular land use because we have several existing. So that's the short answer.
Even in the back schools here, have any other townships gone from conditional
I
use
think we
to
need to-
non-permitted use?
We need to keep the conversation.
I mean, so do you all know, have any other townships gone from from permitted use to non-permitted use, skipping conditional use as a bystander?
One.
One in the state of Ohio. St. Albans Township in Lincoln County.
Have you seen more townships take it from a permitted, if it was permitted, to a conditional use?
Yeah, so most people are, again, as Mr. Bodemiller discussed a little bit ago, it's kind of a cutting edge. People are trying to figure this out, but the approach that you all are taking is probably 98%, 99% of what our clients and what we're seeing around the state are taking. I don't know whether or not prohibiting something is going to be upheld by court. That's always a concern, but most of the planners that I've talked to, I'm not a planner, but most of the planners that I've talked to, this is more of their preferred approach to address the issue. So, but only one so far that I know of, Dan.
I'll leave it at that. I guess my final thought is just I think it's unfortunate that we don't have an opportunity after we've learned the questions, the answers to the questions we've asked and have been asking, that we don't have an opportunity then to comment after those. We kind of have asked a lot of very important questions. You guys get the answers and then make the decision. So I just think that's unfortunate that we don't get a chance to weigh in after we hear what the answers are.
I'd like to move that we close the meeting to public discussion, public participation for our discussion.
Second.
Can I say one thing here before we get this closed on the public? Is that possible? I was late to the party here. I didn't sign in.
We haven't voted on it, make it quick.
My name's Scott Russell, 7135 Kyle Road. My house is, we got there, we've been there 15, 17 years. Beautiful place, we love this township, everything's great. But right now I'm looking at 360 degrees around my house. I consider my house the hot zone because across the road, you guys are contemplating building a data center. I'm just finding out that possibly across the road from my house, maybe a data center, and how this gets approved, I don't know. Behind my house, there's 40 acres right up on the train track, and now we're talking about 2 houses per acre, and it looks like you want to go for 6. So this is a huge problem, and I don't know if you live by train tracks or anything else. You're gonna have all these people move in, everybody's happy to get a new house, and it's right on top of a train track. And unfortunately, I was firefighter for 25 years, state fire marshal now. We go out time after time, kids and young adults playing on tracks and getting run over by the train. And it's terrible to say, but it happens. It happens. So just kind of take those things into consideration. And I'm a no vote on all these occasions here. Thank you.
There's a motion on the floor. I think, there's a second. We're going to do a roll call. You'll have an opportunity to react to our decisions in the future. As Mr. Bodenmiller suggested, we are going to continue to revise the zoning text and new information becomes available. We've listened to a lot of comments. I think we need to move on and make our decisions. Roll call, please.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
At this time, Mr. Snowden, would you like to make a presentation regarding the current zoning text amendment?
Sure, Mr.
Trustees to vote.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. This is a proposed amendment. We're in a hearing for proposed amendment to the Township zoning resolution. This amendment was initiated by the board back last year, submitted to LUC Regional Planning Commission, who recommended approval as with modifications to the majority of the document, as Mr. Bodenmiller previously stated. It went before your Township Zoning Commission. The Township Zoning Commission worked very hard to make some improvements with my office and considering LUC's recommendations, and they voted to recommend approval with modifications. That version dated February 9th was presented to you at the last hearing. At the last hearing of the board on the 3rd of this month, I was feverishly taking notes and listening to the board and public comment, and put together with, and I want to thank those folks who assisted me in doing that, including Mr. Adler, Mr. Stanley, our administrator, and Brad Bodenmiller, in an individual capacity, not on behalf of the commission that he worked as employs him. We put together a revised version of the document, which has been presented to you. It's dated today and in your packet. The highlights of this version are: one, the density permitted for residential dwellings in certain sub-areas of the IPD district has been reduced from 6 units in the initial version that was proposed to 3 units per acre. I want to remind everybody there's also multiple other regulatory controls on that, including minimum lot area, minimum lot width, and minimum open space for that particular development. So the density requirement is only one of the regulations. After discussion with the board at the last hearing, as well as some additional study, this additional screening and buffering for data centers has been added to this section, Chapter 662, including a regulation requiring mounding no less than 10 feet. I know we discussed some different versions. In the initial version, I discussed 6 feet. I proposed 6 feet. I had proposed 8 feet as a compromise. In reviewing with Mr. Bodenmiller, Mr. Adler, and reviewing some other possibilities about measurements, there was a suggestion some communities will measure the height of that mound like down the center line of the road, rather than introduce some complicated measurement procedure that my office and the BZA may struggle to properly implement. It was a better zoning administrative step to just stick with the 10 feet. We did measure that out, and it is achievable on the majority of the sites where this land use might be appropriate in the future. And it's not unreasonable given what some other communities are doing for this type of land use. Third, the definition of data center in Chapter 525 was revised to correspond with the definition being provided as a model from LUC RPC. Mr. Bodenmiller, you heard me prompt him a little bit there. Mr. Bodenmiller is working closely with, and his team are working closely with many townships to better regulate data centers in other township zoning resolutions. I know there's going to be more to do, and we can certainly learn from what's being done in the other townships, but I learned last Thursday that there's a model definition, so let's just stick with the same definition that LUC has. That'll simplify things going forward. The board raised, and the zoning commission raised asked me various questions about landscaping and buffering, and many of the questions about landscaping and buffering were actually general landscaping and buffering requirements of the zoning resolution. So I worked with Mr. Bodemiller, Mr. Adler, and reviewed 620 of the zoning resolution to introduce some general standards for landscaping that really should apply across the board. They're all very basic, and we did a little cleanup of that chapter. What we're regulating in that section is we're putting a minimum regulation on mound slope, which is very normal. I also reviewed the definition. I've added some definitions of certain things that were undefined in our zoning resolutions, such as opacity. We were able to learn from a couple other zoning codes, including Columbus, when it came to definitions. Now, while it is certainly understandable that a township like Jerome might have more stringent development standards, when we're talking about how to define something, a city as large as Columbus has to have a very reasonable, well thought out definition of a particular thing. So a lot of that was housekeeping to that chapter, but it adds to the overall proper regulation of all land uses, including data centers. We also added a section about preserving landscaping rather than cutting what we've seen in some cases throughout the township, where landscaping is cut down or existing trees are cut down to put in required landscaping. We gave folks the option. It's not a requirement. We gave folks the option to preserve trees in certain cases. So again, trying to give people multiple options to achieve the planning goals that the board has laid out and the policies that the board is grappling with. Lastly, in addition to designating data centers as conditional use in all standard zoning districts where they're currently designated as permitted, this revised version increases the setbacks for data centers from residential uses in districts to 300 feet. I worked with the zoning commission to add some setback requirements for data centers, and we didn't have a lot to go on. We started at 100 feet. But in looking at what some other communities are doing, what they're doing is they're saying if you're adjacent to a commercial district or an industrial district, it's a lower setback than it is if you're adjacent from a residential district. So for residential district, it's an increased setback. For commercial, it's a slight increase, but not nearly as much. I looked at our existing data centers, buildings, and with the non-conformities being created by that setback is fairly minimal. So we're not rendering everybody non-conforming that's already existing, if that makes sense. So this is all in response to what the board discussed, what the zoning commission discussed. I'm happy to answer any questions. Mr. Brocious' office, Mr. Griggs' law office, Mr. Brocious was his previous law partner, drafted a resolution. If you would resolve to adopt this amendment, there's a resolution in your packet to adopt. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions about what's here.
Any questions, Joe? I did put together a statement that might help address some of the questions that fielded and why some of the decisions were made. First off, I want to say happy St. Patrick's Day and thank all of you for being here. I appreciate your time and apologize for keeping you here when you could be out celebrating. I'd like to begin by recognizing Mr. Snowden for his extensive and often thankless work on this zoning text amendment. This has been a thorough and thoughtful process. We've done our due diligence, listened to stakeholders, and worked to base our decision on current research and professional standards. The proposed amendment is intended to incorporate best practices into our zoning resolution and establish appropriate guardrails to protect public health, safety, and welfare. It addresses 4 primary areas. As Eric mentioned, impacts, public health, and community character. I do not believe the solution is to prohibit data centers entirely. Instead, by allowing them as a conditional use subject to further review by the Board of Zoning Appeals, we have an opportunity to take a leadership role by establishing clear expectations and ensuring that any such development is compatible with our community. It is also important that we act in a timely manner. We are in the 7th month of our 9-month moratorium, and any adopted amendments will take effect not until 30 days after approval. Through this process, we've also learned that the township's regulatory authority is limited in several key areas. Electric power is regulated by the township by AEP, which determines capacity and connections with oversight from state and federal agencies. Water and sewer services are controlled by the City of Marysville under our JET agreement with additional oversight from state agencies. The city plans to limit data center usage so as to not increase residential rates and not deplete resource capacity. Air quality is regulated by environmental and health agencies at the state and federal level. Noise regulation, as has been stated, is limited as townships cannot adopt commercial noise ordinances, though we can require acoustical studies. By making data centers a conditional use, we give the Board of Zoning Appeals the ability to evaluate each proposal individually, including potential noise and health impacts, and determine whether it is appropriate. In addition, we plan to use development agreements and incentive negotiations to establish expectations of being good neighbors. These may include standards for noise mitigation, safety and construction practices to keep mud off the roads, prevent light from shining off-site, and to manage traffic at entrances. It's also important to clarify that data centers do contribute economically, even when tax abatements are involved. For example, the existing AWS campuses are providing $3 million in payments to schools, $1 million for roadway infrastructure through pilot agreements over the 10-year period. The township will receive increased revenue over time, particularly after the abatements expire. While these estimates need to be verified, the long-term fiscal impact is expected to exceed what would be generated through agricultural use. It is estimated we are currently receiving $31,000 annually as a land increment tax. We'll be getting over $250,000 annually when the 10-year abatement is over. Recently, we learned that Microsoft is no longer asking for abatement for their new data centers. Within our zoning authority, we already have some things that we can deal with, including lighting, design, and these are standards that we already have lighting and design standards, and are adding standards to strengthen requirements for setbacks, buffering, and mounding. As Mr. Snowden mentioned, the increased setbacks of up to 300 feet near residential, public, and quasi-public areas. Improved roadway screening with buffer-type V plannings and defined opacity standards. And mounding requirements up to 10 feet in height near residential and sensitive areas and 6 feet high along roadways. These measures are intended to reduce visual, environmental, and quality of life impacts on nearby residents. I also want to note that some of the information circulating publicly may not accurately reflect the same size or impact of the data centers that are being proposed here. The conditional use process allows us to evaluate each proposal based on the most current and accurate information available at the time. I understand that these changes may not satisfy everyone. However, I believe this amendment represents a thoughtful and balanced step forward, one that allows for responsible development while protecting our community and provides those that want to be good neighbors the opportunity to invest in our community. As technology and the industry continue to evolve, we expect to revisit and refine our zoning regulations as needed. We were elected to serve the residents of this township, and I remain committed to making decisions that reflect the community's long-term best interests. I will continue to work to address concerns and seek practical solutions. I want to thank you again for your engagement and participation. I also encourage those of you interested to consider serving on the Zoning Commission or Board of Zoning Appeals. At this time, I'd like to ask if any of the other trustees would like to make any public comments, or whether we're prepared to vote.
We're having our discussion, right?
Discussion.
So, how long ago did we start the discussion about data centers? Do you recall, Barry? Was it January of 24 or January 25? When we first had citizens come in?
Again, there's layers of control. So there's a maximum number of dwelling units, there's a maximum density, then there's minimum lot area, minimum lot width, and a minimum open space. So all of those things play into how many homes can go in a particular development. So anybody who files a detailed development plan for land in any part of that area, they're going to have to show compliance with all that, basically.
And Mr. Adler, if you could speak on the 2 units to 3 units, like what you'd said in your statement there? Well, why would you say that you're okay with 3 in that sub area?
I know that when we went through the comprehensive plan, there was quite a bit of discussion back and forth, and I know that you and Leslie wanted even higher densities. I held out and insisted on the 2 units per acre. The compromise then was to be in the conservation district of the Big Darby Creek watershed area for that. Other areas were potentially 3 units per acre.
Because I think it was at 4. The recommendation was at 4.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we brought that down.
What the document
2
that
in
we
the
got
Big Darby Creek
through the
watershed and
process.
3 in other areas.
Where water and sewer is available.
Correct.
I mean,
Yes.
Okay. That's all I had to say. I just wanted to talk about those issues with the board.
I just wanted to clarify the 2, 3, so that was covered.
Say that again, Andrea.
I said
Oh,
I
thank you
wanted-
for clarifying. That's what you said. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify.
And for a discussion with the developer, just to clarify too, they've made an agreement to increase buffering and screening between the existing houses and those houses in that discussion. But then again, that's something we have to come to terms with as it goes through the process. But they indicated that they would submit increased buffering and screening plans before it goes back to the detailed development plan process.
There's several regulatory steps that council and my office can work together to ensure before the detailed development plan is approved for any development within that area.
No? Any other discussion, questions, Eric or Ann? Somewhere in here.
Mr. Chairman, you should have a resolution at the top that says case ZT 25-002. That is, that's that right there. And because there are multiple clauses, Councilor Griggs, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the adoption, should the board resolve, could just be, I move to adopt the resolution to render a decision on a proposed amendment as presented.
Correct.
Would that be acceptable?
Yes.
Because there's multiple clauses.
Correct.
Okay. So if it be the will of the board to approve with this further modifications, then they would make the motion I just stated, to adopt the resolution to render a decision on the proposed zoning amendment as presented.
Further modifications that you would like to make at this time?
Nope, not anything different than what's.
Okay, then I so move, as Mr. Snowden stated just now. Do I have a second?
Second?
Roll call?
Mr. Kraft?
Yes?
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
The amendment would take effect in 30 days. Mr. Caldwell has multiple copies there. Robert, this only has that resolution. 3, sir.
The time is 8:42. I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second? Meeting is adjourned.
Take a break. 5-minute recess.
We're going to take a 5-minute break. Sign things and move on to the regular meeting.
That's okay. That's okay. Okay.
That's
I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for March 17th. The time is 8:55 p.m. Roll call.
I've asked.
Mr. Kraft?
Present.
Mr. Adler?
Present.
Ms. Watson?
Yes. Present, sorry.
Let's rise for the pledge, please.
Show us this right.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next time, we'll probably have to have next time.
Okay. On the agenda here somewhere. Are there any changes or modifications to the agenda? Okay, here we go. I move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell, do we have any minutes to approve?
No minutes for tonight's meeting.
Okay.
We do have the warrants per your pending warrant report. They're warrants 46407 through 46450 and 96032 through 96039.
Move that we approve the warrants.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Do you have any additional report, Mr. Caldwell?
The only thing I'll update you on is I did submit our carryover balances to the county auditor for the budget commission. I did indicate the potential that they ought to ask fiscal officers to attend their meeting if and how they're going to use those numbers. Those meetings are open to the public, so we may plan on attending, especially if they have any questions.
Yes, I think that would be especially important.
Is this, it's what was in our packet last time?
Yes.
Is it, I don't, okay. So we all saw that last time.
Yes.
And,
So anything that had a carryover balance of more than 40% had to have some reason behind it.
okay, yep.
You know, a lot of that had to do with capital outlays, saving for capital purchases. We included renovations to this township hall, potential construction of a new community center, renovations to Station 210, capital purchases for fire engines and the ladder truck, paying off debt for the road department garage. So I believe there was certainly justification of why those balances are there and why 40% would not be fiscally prudent.
Do you have any update on the legislation that would allow the county to limit the amount of carryover? That or is that potential?
No.
And I'd like to suggest to the board, if we did get to a point on the carryover where we needed to designate it or have another account as capital improvements, that I would be supportive of that, where we'd have the money in different buckets. You know, this money is to go for these things and that, and then the carryover would be on the regular budget. Just as a discussion matter, you know, to put out there.
Okay, do we have any public participation? We'll take a check with it. Well, why don't you come up while he's getting that, state your name and address.
Sarah Dunlin, 10738 Bellflower Drive. From Village, I live in the Pearl Creek neighborhood. I'm here on behalf of the Pearl Creek neighborhood. We would like to start the process of either getting an additional stop sign or some speed limit signs in our neighborhood. We tried to work with MI, that didn't work out so well. And so now that the streets have been turned over to Jerome Township, we need to figure out how to get people to slow down. It had been reckless. We actually bought a speed bump, and then we got the sheriff's office called on us, and the deputy came out and was like, yes, you can't have this here. But he suggested that we come before you guys and just ask how we start the process. We actually just the other summer had a gentleman jump the curb and take out a tree, and if a kid would have been there, you know, I don't know what would have happened. We have a divided neighborhood on speed bumps, so I don't think we start there, but we got to do something to slow down the traffic in our neighborhood. It's getting pretty bad.
What are you thinking, Chief?
Yeah, so obviously Sheriff Justice is behind you. And we actually are going to help address some of that this evening, I hope. We have a contract that's up for renewal for overtime to work with the sheriff's office like we instituted a year ago.
Okay.
That contract expired, now we have to redo it again. But for these warmer months where we see more people out, the kids are going to be outside, things get more dangerous, but we also see an uptick in reckless operation complaints around here. We get called, the sheriff's office gets called. So, oh my goodness, Sheriff, I don't know how many months ago, we sat down and constructed a contract where we would hire out another deputy in addition to what we already have that is solely focused on traffic enforcement. And the way it worked last year will be hopefully the same way. If their office gets a call or we get a call, we will communicate that from us to the sheriff's office so they know the areas to target. Your neighborhood, there are a variety of other complaints that we get all over the township from time to time. We have always done that. We've always, taken the citizen complaint, forward that to the sheriff's office, and then they respond. So in this case, with the addition of, and I'm sure the sheriff can address this, but I believe he's also got another speed trailer available now. That's a deterrent. Just simply having the presence of another marked car in the area can slow people down. Speed bumps, I will say, those are a solution, but I'll be honest, the worst part about that is for the residents.
Yeah.
They get so tired of driving over them. They're very unpleasant. They can damage your car over the course of time. So that's my background, as I'm a retired chief of police. So I've dealt with this for years. The worst part of it is there's no magic quotient. I think when you talk about times of day, we need to know, or at least the sheriff needs to know, those times of peak times. I was working with probably a handful of residents last year. We finally started saying, if you could be as specific as you can, even down to, I had one person tell me, it's one person.
Yes. So
and they wrote the description down.
Yeah, we talked to Deputy Bebo. He came out, and he told us exactly, this was only like 2 weeks ago, so we haven't had time. We have a spreadsheet started. We have we've identified the cars, we know who it is, but I just kind of wanted to put it on everybody's radar tonight.
I really appreciate it.
And I don't think speed bumps are the answer, but we've tried to be nice, and we've tried to put the little green men out, and we've tried to say in the neighborhood, hey, it's getting nicer out, let's be careful of the kids, and it has not helped. So we felt we needed to take an extra step.
And I will say this, and the sheriff and I just talked about this briefly this week or last week, Sheriff, I can't remember when we met. The other one thing that I am keeping a close eye on is that with 42 and industrial getting ready to start, there's going to be some detour stuff going on. And so these other areas that may not have seen an uptick in traffic complaints may all of a sudden end up with more traffic complaints. Speeders trying to get from point A to point B. They may be frustrated that they got to be routed way out of their way. Long story short, we're in a very busy area. They obviously know that too. But we think this is one piece of the solution, but it is absolute vigilance. It's vigilance, unfortunately, for kids, adults, everything, because we just don't know. We don't know. And we can't be everywhere at once. That's the other problem.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but thank you.
Yes.
So if you would like to forward that to the sheriff or I can get you my card before you leave.
Okay.
And I can take whatever information. It sounds like Deputy Bebout already knows who you are, spoke to you. You can always do that as well. Whatever's good for the sheriff's office is.
Okay.
Because what they do is they just report to you, right? And then the more reports you have of some sort, it brings red flags.
So when we get a traffic complaint, we have one person keeping track of the spreadsheet. And the more information we have, we can coordinate. Actually, you will be here at this point in time during this time frame and this time frame. So the peak times is perfect.
What you need, yeah.
Right. When you're done up there, I'll have you write some information out for me.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, we have started that process, and we've kept our ring cameras on so that we can catch everything. Just one more. I'm sorry. I'm going over through this. I know.
We appreciate your patience for waiting this time.
Yeah, one of the things we don't know is how fast they're going. Like, to my eye, I'm like, you're going way too fast. There's too many kids, but how fast are they actually going? So just letting the resident, like, that was a suggestion that the deputy had, was you can come and watch me radar so you can tell, because we just don't know, you know, like, I think you should be going super slow, but that's
You might
not.
want to put you on payroll now.
So with that,
Are we hiring somebody?
We thought about buying a radar gun, I'm not gonna lie, and just be like,
Well,
are they actually going super fast, or are we just being crazy sensitive about it, you know?
and we've had people that, like, I'm telling you they're speeding, we're telling you they're not.
Yeah.
And we've shown people, and we let them, and also the other thing that they try to do is if they're out working that, they try to keep how many cars they see go through and what those speed ranges are.
Okay.
So that way we can report back to the person that complained about it and say, hey, look, we spent 12 hours out there and we've clocked 40 cars and they all range between 25 and 35. So, and of course, when we're out there 9 times out of 10, they probably slow down. So it's not doing you any good, but at the same point in time it is.
Yeah,
So.
I completely understand. We asked the deputy if he could just keep his car in our neighborhood. And we're like, you can keep the car here, everything's great. So thank you, I really appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you.
That traffic is going to increase.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna have a discussion about that.
I took a Sunday drive,
Yeah.
and I was driving through Jerome Village, and I always drive really slow. I was like, why are all these people smiling and waving at me? It's like, because I'm not
Drive like
blowing
crazy.
through their neighborhood. I don't know, because I thought, these are the friendliest people I know, because everybody has those hello or welcome signs,
Well,
you know.
everybody knows you, Jim.
And
You're
sometimes,
trustee.
I don't know about that, but sometimes, you know, people have to go away, but these people all had welcome, you know, on their doors.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
That's all. Sorry.
Thank you very much for your comments, and running right into the next speaker is our public safety officer. Sheriff Justice, would you please approach the podium?
So, as normal, I try to come so we can keep our guys out on the street. So, I've given you 3 sets of information. Gave you the stats for 2026 for the PSOs and the regular deputies. You just have to look at the top. But it's also a comparison with 25, so you can kind of see where we're at currently compared to where we were last year. So if you guys want to review that and get back with me, just let me know if you have any major concerns. The other packet that I gave you is we had a presentation where ODOT came up to our office and met with us about the different projects that's taking place in the county, not only here but throughout the whole county, and some time frames with it. And I think one of the things that I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, but you need to be aware of it, is the 23rd is scheduled for some work being done at Industrial Parkway and 42, where they're going to start closing like one lane northbound or southbound. So that packet has all the ODOT work that they plan on doing in the next few years. So I hope you just take time and review it. If there's anything you want to share to put out to the citizens of the township, feel free to. I just want to make sure you guys have the most up-to-date information on that. I know it's been a long night. You guys got more to do. So if you have questions, you all know how to get a hold of me. Please just give me a shout. And unless there's something major, I'm done.
Appreciate the update, because ODOT doesn't usually communicate very well to us. This is something we've been asking.
I'm trying to take care of everybody on that. When I give them any promises, keep it in.
Thanks. Thank you very much, and thanks for your patience and sticking around tonight. I know it's been a long meeting.
Anytime. Appreciate you guys. See you later.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to skip over the executive session we're going to need for one this evening. We're going to get into the administrator report, Mr. Stanley.
Yeah, I'll just segue in, Mr. Chairman, piggyback right off of where he left off. I think I forwarded this on. I noticed her name on page 5 of that packet. Hannah is taking over Matthew's position. He is getting another role within ODOT apparently. So the gentleman that was giving us the updates, he has now kind of passed the torch. And I did speak with Hannah Salem on the phone this week, and she did confirm that it's pretty locked in out front here even. So you will not be able to go northbound. It's only southbound. So you can come off of 42 and come this way, but then when you leave, you will not be able to get back to 42. You'll have to turn right out of here.
Go to Mitchell Durant and go around.
Yeah, wherever you're trying to get to.
Rocking up the Highland Road.
Yeah.
That's the way she explained it to me.
Or back down to 161.
I had asked for clarification. I did bring up your point, Mr. Adler, that back, I think all 3 of us maybe were on that Zoom.
My concern.
And that's been months ago
Not
now.
access to driveways.
Correct.
It
We
does
were
not look
at,
like from where the cones are setting up.
but some things had been jockeyed around. So for example, don't forget, originally they had it going northbound, and with the chief and his team, they got it going at least so that it can go southbound and close to northbound. But originally, I think they were tossing around the idea, which is where you and I were somewhat confused on what we were reading, that towards fall of last year, we had a conversation with someone, I don't recall who, where they led us to believe that they were going to start construction on the other side of 42, then flip it to this side. That is not what they're doing. They're closing that all. So don't try to go north starting Monday.
We need to clarify though along that line to make sure that they will be allowing local access coming northbound to the.
I asked her about that. She did not have an answer. She said that she was going to check with the project manager and follow back up with me. She did not try me today, or I missed her. It's possible I was out of the meeting. So
Because I think we had that in writing at some point.
okay.
To go back in the-
I told her, I said that might be a problem for local traffic if they're trying to get in and out of our township hall, and there's a business. And
That's because they're trying to get fuel too.
well, right, yeah. So
They're
gonna get the fuel.
Looping around.
yeah. So it's still awaiting me, unless you know something. Is that what you have been told?
Haven't been told anything.
Yeah, I know it's been.
And I would
Do you have-
assume by the way the barrels are placed that they're going to set it off on rock.
Yeah.
So the only way they're going to be able to come is Kimberly Drive and Briarwood, but that's getting torn up by areas of water as well. So
Yeah.
but that's most information we got, what the sheriff provided tonight.
She said that that part of the reason is that they're going to be using this whole area for staging equipment. So that's why the lane's probably going to be closed. But I will double check for that.
I don't know if that's a meeting that the sheriff orchestrated. Which would be
Nice to know.
I think ODOT has done a very poor job of doing any kind of public meeting, in my 20-year career.
Okay.
And when they do have public meetings, they don't provide all the information. This is a prime example. It affects emergency services, it affects the local public. And
Yeah, I was just thinking that
the
they would be the
11th hour,
first.
we just know. And it's unfortunate, I think, if they would just get the information out. Township could share it, we could share it. I mean, obviously, the sheriff is doing a great job trying to get it out to us.
Yeah, and I feel like we should
Pretty close to
somehow communicate to our public, maybe if we
I've,
can.
I've begged them. I've probably had, I don't know how many, well, I've been communicating with them, and a lot of emails just sit there, phone
Or-
calls don't get returned. So I vented to Hannah quite a bit. I've asked her to update a map. I said, can we please have a map that we can publish and share?
Yeah, so they can
She
share
said
it.
yes, that she would do that, and she offered to do that. And I said, yes, we need that at a minimum, and we need clarification on, is local traffic in any way, shape, or form, are we trapped? So that even when we pull out of here, I said, I just want to be clear, because I said, we have houses here, we have businesses, and then the township hall itself. I said, and don't forget, the new road department building is right next door as well. And I said, so if, I said plow, because at the time I knew we were expecting more snow. Sure enough, our guys were out at 4 a.m. this morning.
Right.
So anyway, long story
If
short.
this is next week, it's a concern.
Exactly.
Same thing with them.
And we have
It's
not
a
had a
concern.
map, we've had no updates. So until this week, that's the first person that's actually called me from ODOT in months, even though I've asked.
I think it sounds maybe a little bit much, but is there anything we can talk to Pete about getting them to address us back legally?
Well, last year we had to take it all the way to, wasn't that the topic, Barry, that we had to go clear to the governor's office because we weren't getting any headway? I thought that was it. A year ago was this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. We weren't getting any communication.
I'd
So how did
suggest
that go?
any communication
That could
be via email, time and date stamp, and then when you do have a phone conversation, take notes and say, per our phone conversation, then email it to that person, just so you kind of have some type of trail, so
I
you've
would
got,
from here on out.
because you got the
this
time
is
and date stamp on the
Not
email.
not okay.
And that be scanned and sent through the township association, so all the township trustees get that.
Oh, sure, we can scan that.
This, yeah.
I'm sure they're in the dark and some of the projects do affect.
Yes.
I forgot to follow up on.
Well, there's probably a color version of this, I bet the sheriff may have available, that we could get the color version.
I have it in my notes, and I just forgot to mention this when I was at the Union County Engineer's Office. They are coming to speak with us on April the 21st at that meeting. So I think we should invite ODOT to also come and speak
Okay.
to us at that time, too.
We can try that.
We have to break a barrier here, and especially with the community safety. I mean, again, firefighters, we have the maintenance, we have lots going on, roads need to be cleared, like, you don't know, we're in Ohio. This is ridiculous.
Okay.
They should be communicating with our first responders.
But if we could get a color copy of this, are you gonna email,
I can try to work through
or you
Hannah
want me to, or
and the
some-
sheriff.
whatever you wanna do?
Yeah,
I just think we should have a
absolutely.
color copy that's available.
Yes.
Because I haven't read through this, but I know what
You
they
want me to
posted,
send that
did
to
not
you? Is
show
that
a
what you want?
detour for anybody
You want a copy of that?
I got it.
Oh.
north.
Correct.
On this section of the road, they showed the detour going north. on the
Correct.
other
I
portion.
mentioned that to her as well.
Okay.
All right, moving on. You should have this in front of you in your folder, which is the PSO overtime, or excuse me, not the PSO. It's for an additional, for traffic safety. The language mimics last year's language. The rate changed under number 1 because their contract, their wages went up. And it is not to exceed, on page 2, 100,000. And as Mr. Caldwell pointed out earlier this week, we paid out $16,000, in between $16,000 to $17,000 in overtime to them last year. So it's well worth it. And if I remember right, they stopped over 300 cars for violations. And
Are
that's
you
exactly
saying they did not use the full amount, they used 17,000?
correct.
In overtime?
Correct.
Now, my understanding is that versus like hiring another full-timer, which would probably be a couple-year commitment, to maybe do that down here, that it kind of makes more sense to offer up the overtime, and then the officers that would like overtime can come down here and work traffic?
Correct.
Is that kind of what, okay.
That's correct. It's
Okay.
just center
Just to make
focused
sure I
on traffic.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're just paying the wage. We're not necessarily paying the benefits in that, or does this number have the benefits in there too?
No, it's just their wage, it's the overtime rate.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's anything in here about benefits that I
Okay,
remember.
because I know on the other positions, we might cover the whole position, you know, where the county's providing the car and the training
Right.
and that.
This
I
is
don't-
just their rate.
My other question was, what's the time frame coverage? We talked about it.
Through the end of December is what this contract says. I think it's on.
Yeah, December 31st.
Yeah, I
It's
think
on
you
number
also
12, number
Well,
12. I
I'm
think.
talking about coverage for time. That's been a,
Oh, time of day.
yes. that's
I
been
think
a-
it's whenever
It's-
requested.
Yeah, correct. And they were filling it by, was it 4-hour increments at a time? Because they were trying to abut it to shifts, so that, like if a deputy worked first shift, he could stay over, work 4 more hours, coming over here.
Yeah,
and do
because that was the
targeted enforcement.
concern was from 2 to 6 a.m. that we have no one. And
That might be a separate issue on the.
Oh, okay.
on the
Yeah,
city.
that's a separate issue.
But it's possible that some of these funds could be used to fund some of the overnight hours, correct?
That
It's
is
not
not a part of this. This
not
is
I
for
think it's
traffic
just more
enforcement.
traffic.
This is for traffic
Day-
complaints.
The daytime, you know, more
Traffic.
people are
So
out.
on number 3, Jerome's request should include any locations where additional traffic enforcement is being sought and requested hours. Upon notification by Jerome of the number of hours available, the sheriff may assign traffic overtime to locations within Jerome where the sheriff has received traffic complaints in addition to what we identify. So it's exactly what happened tonight. This lady could have called me, she could have called him through the sheriff's office. It doesn't matter who gets the complaint. Number 3 covers that, meaning it doesn't matter who's calling who. Once the sheriff's office is aware of where the traffic complaints are, they are to target and enforce that area. And so once they start slowing people down, it'll be moving on, and it's a moving target, basically. And it did a lot of good. Our complaints got reduced probably by like 90% last year when we implemented this, and we're seeing an uptick right now. We're already getting a lot of complaints, even with the snow. But it's only going to get worse from here on, so it's going to be that way. So I would like to, for the board to approve, well, I would like for you to approve the contract as stated in front of you.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
yes,
And I'm passing around one for you to sign.
that is concerning. Yeah, you keep talking
Oh, yeah, yeah.
about it. It's an issue.
We'll make sure that the sheriff gets a copy of that as well. Moving on, working with Debbie, legal, the chief, and Robert, we were able to get the ads sent up to the Marysville Journal Tribune for the design project for the Township Hall renovations and the Station 210 feasibility study. Those will be posted, I think, over the next 2 weeks, and then we should start getting firms to send us their proposals. Once we get that, there'll be a process of reviewing and ranking those at both for both purposes, and then we end up and bring back to you guys then which firms we prefer, and then you can approve at your next board meeting that follows that time frame. Just touching quickly The trout restocking is this Thursday out here at the pond. ODNR will show up. I believe they're still dumping approximately 1,000 trout out here in Harry Wolf Park Pond. The public is invited to come out. Generally speaking, they show up around 10, but I have not heard an update this week. In addition, in your folder, you will see the car show flyer information. This is our sponsorship levels. In case you know of anybody that might be interested, now's the time. This is on a very short turnaround. We want logos of the business back to us, plus the check by April 1st. The checks are payable to the following 15. And if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to me or Chad down there, Chad at North Point. His contact information is at the bottom of that flyer. The Weiler collection that bought MAG in Dublin is our sponsor, and they have they've taken over 14 different brands down here in Dublin, and they are wanting to be very engaged in the community. So we had a very good meeting earlier today, and again, the date is Sunday. It's a Sunday this year, June 14th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. At Estates Court, just off of Estates Parkway. Lastly, thank you, Trustee Kraft, for pointing out that we were having audio/video. I believe I've sorted out what the issues were, and it was through the tablet, and I believe I've got them all fixed. I just tested it. It looks like video and audio are fine, so I don't think we had any glitches. I think it was all right here, and I believe I've got the settings right. So I apologize, and to the public that could only hear or maybe not see, or vice versa, it's just the technology piece. We've got that part figured out. With that ends my report, unless you have any questions, and I'm going to turn it over to the chief. Okay, Chief.
Good evening. Your February stats are in the report. And I think we had a slow February, but we made up for that on Friday. So, been busy, and now it's cold again. The aerial update, we stopped down the other day. We did visit. I can't remember when we did the visit. The truck was actually still in pieces, but now it's one. We are going to do our final inspection on April 16th. That is the tentative date as of right now. We'll spend the entire day down there. It shouldn't take more than a day to do the inspection. And then we'll take delivery at a later time. There may be some things that they need to button up before we take delivery. And then we'd anticipate probably in August in-service date. There's a lot of equipment to mount and then training for our firefighters. So it's going to be a lengthy process, and it's going to be a great addition to the township for our operations. And as just a reminder, that money was funded through the Community Authority and then some Rescue Act money that we had received. So nothing coming out of the fire department fund and whatnot. So that was a great addition to our fleet and whatnot. Tornado sirens, I wish I had an answer for you. They're working. We're doing a test tomorrow morning. They moved the statewide test from last week because of the weather. It's going to be tomorrow, so we're getting out, and we're going to have somebody at every siren. But initially they thought it was a battery issue. Now they're saying it's not a battery issue, and they're doing some testing and review of the data that they've received from the 911 center at the manufacturer level, not at the installer or the sales level. So I hope to have an answer back. Initially they said that it was the trees, but only one of our sirens has a tree close by, and it would not impede the solar panel. So we're really not sure, but we do know that they are working. There's just some feedback getting to the 911 center, so that's an issue. So, and I'm just going to high-level overview of the arson investigation. It's ongoing. I wish the sheriff was here because we couldn't do our job without the sheriff's office. This arson case is spilled over into 3 different counties, and we have 3 different police agencies involved. We have multiple fire departments involved, and we are getting very close. It's still ongoing investigation, and at some point we will come back, the sheriff and I, and maybe some of the others that are involved, and give a full report. But it speaks volumes to the relationship we have with the sheriff's office, but it also speaks volumes to the fire investigation team that we created several years ago when I took over. And it's nice because we can call on our neighbors that have some information, and then we're able to track that through different neighborhoods and really catch at least one person. And like I said, it's still not over, but we're still working it. And I can't say enough about the sheriff's office. Dave Phillips, our prosecutor, is really leading the charge on the charges and whatnot, and he's going to take all of the arson cases. So more to come on that, but that's really all I have as far as the arson, and I'll be working with Brandon to update everybody at some point. Any questions from me?
Did you get your phones and internet issue resolved?
For now, it's unfortunately it's a day-by-day thing, so we're looking at alternatives. Just
When you say day by day, is that, it's been ongoing for you?
Spectrum's been an issue for years and years, especially with all the construction, with everything happening on Industrial Parkway and on 42. It's just been an ongoing issue for years. Sometimes we get an immediate resolution, and other times, like this past weekend, it was, I think we didn't get it back until Sunday morning. Actually, it was later than that, because I think we got it Sunday evening into Monday morning.
But I think that we need to look into like a failover type system where when one goes down, it'll flip over to the other one.
Yeah,
I've had a little bit of experience with Starlink with a satellite deal. That could maybe be a possible option.
We need to do something
I'm
for
at
you.
maybe $120 a month. I don't know how fast it is or anything, but if you didn't have anything and you had something, I think it would be something. There's different levels now, I guess, that they could sell, but that could be a consideration maybe to look into the cost and just see.
Yeah. And we're working with Nate from Manifest.
I think even at this appointment in Spectrum on the billing, like whether, what are they billing us for and what are we getting? I know we had that to deal with before.
I think there's better alternatives out there that won't be affected by the weather. So the weather's been an issue, but the people that I've talked to that have Starlink, they didn't skip a beat, and they were up and running. Won't get power, so.
Just down the road from you, I was just out when the power was off. The Spectrum was right back on. The power came
Well, of course, with Starlink, if your generator kicks on, then you would everything could be out around everywhere, and you could still have internet
power, but we still didn't have anything for the phones or the internet. So
Are your phones through Spectrum also, or different?
Are they IP phones or Spectrum phones?
IP.
IP, okay.
Yeah.
So Starlink would solve that problem.
We have to have Spectrum to provide the phone services with voice over IP. So, and we want something better, and I mean.
I agree with Joe, we should pursue a back.
Failover, yeah.
Yeah.
At both
Now.
stations.
Now.
Both stations, yeah.
Yes. Any other questions?
Well, I'd like to, again, congratulate the chief on the First Responder Award, a salute to leaders, sponsored by Memorial Hospital. I think the chamber puts that on. I was unable to attend that. It was March 4th, the day after our last meeting, but I'd just like to recognize the chief. That's a big, big deal, and I'm really proud to have someone from Jerome Township receiving the Salute to Leaders Award. I wish I could have been there. But.
I will say it was disappointing that not a single person from the township showed up. That was disappointing. That disrespectful and disreporting, unacceptable. That nobody from the township showed up, and that's
Definitely was an oversight. We've had conversations among ourselves. Definitely was an oversight.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. All right.
Be safe out there, please. Anything from the zoning department?
Nope. I have nothing else. That ends my report.
Okay, under old business, I have two JED amendments. The first one here is I move to open the public hearing concerning amendments to the Joint Economic Development District and contract known as 7321 Industrial Parkway. Have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Floor is now open for public comment. Seeing
Do
no
we have anyone
comment, then
signed up?
I move to close the public hearing concerning the amendments to the Joint Economic Development District and contract known as 7321 Industrial Parkway. I have a second.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the public hearing amendments to the JED for, I move to open the public hearing concerning amendments to the Joint Economic Development District and contract known as 8510 Warner Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Floor is now open for public comment. Seeing no public comment, then I move to close the public hearing concerning amendments to the Joint Economic Development District and contract known as 8510 Warner Road. Do I have a second? Roll call?
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
I guess if Eric were here, I'd ask the question, is this the one that they were debating up there in Marysville?
Not sure.
There was something about the data center. They voted to try to pass it. And Marysville has to pass this also.
Correct.
I know that one of these, I think they continued to another meeting because of the water usage questions.
Yeah.
We should check with legal, I think, is what my recommendation.
All right, under new business, we have a discussion of streetlights. Mr. Stanley, do you want to present?
Yeah, just, you should have received some information, it's in your packets, that you are, at Ohio Edison First Energy, they're trying to convert some of the street lights. There's a sample there on page 3 of the difference between the 4,000 versus the 3,000, and really it's just down to what the board would like to respond back to. And so in the March 6th email, it just says that they are reaching out to let us know that one or more of the street lights in your community will be upgraded to LED as part of the Ohio Edison First Energy's 5-year street light conversion program. Over this time, older street lights will be gradually replaced and with energy efficient LEDs. And then it begins to tell you about the different Kelvin LED fixtures and what we can choose. If you prefer a mix of 3K and 4K lighting, please provide a map and or a list of streets indicating where each type should be installed. And then I believe what Eric wrote back was that URE is using brighter lights for main roads and less bright lights for side roads. And he suggested we ask Ohio Edison to do the same for their lights. And he was going to do putting together a map. And I don't know that I ever saw his
I didn't see the map in there. Yeah. But I would say that we should go with Eric's recommendation, but it kind of sounds like they want us to say this light's this and this light's that. You know,
yeah, and it
you
may
would think
not,
they would have a map of the lights for us.
it may not be as complicated as what we're thinking, but I agree with you.
I like the 3,000K all around, but if we're already doing like 4,000K on the main roads, but in other areas 3,000, we probably ought to stick with similar.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I think that it has the brighter lights on main roads and 3,000.
Well, we can just relay that to Eric, and I'll pass that information back, and we'll work on the map. And if there's any other follow-up that we need, I'll pass it on.
I don't think we need a motion.
No.
Okay. All right. Any other new business before I move on to announcements? Ohio Department of Natural Resources will be restocking the Harry Wolf Park Pond on Thursday, March 19th. 2026. To get updates on road projects in the township, please visit our website. To get updates on ODOT projects, including State Route 42 and Industrial Park that starts next week, click the link on our website or visit the ODOT website, District 6. Just as we've mentioned before, our apologies for not having had the information communicated to us in much detail prior to this time, and hopefully we'll get that sorted out. The 2026 Jerome Township Community Car Show, benefiting the Fallen 15, sponsored by the Wiley Collection, will be held Sunday, June 14th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. along States Court, just off of States Parkway. If you would like to receive notifications regarding the Board of Trustees meetings, please email the Township office at jerometownship@jerometownship.com. The Township is always accepting applications for positions on the zoning boards. Please visit the Jerome Township website to fill out an application. I'd like to move that the meeting be adjourned. Do I have a second?